What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to an exciting episode of Tuffy Talk here. As we are excited to welcome the new president of the NC State Alumni Association, Reshunda Mahone. So, Reshunda, thank you so much for joining us today. Really do appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be a part and to have our conversation today.
Absolutely, 100%. And I know that for myself, because recently we've had on, Ben Broussard with the Wolfpack Club, we've had on, Pack of Wolves, we've had on Tom Lavolsi with Savage Wolves. So I feel like that this is kind of the last piece of the puzzle. The last association group from NC State side that we needed to learn more about. And I know for myself and a lot of fans I've spoken with, that this has definitely been a big piece, because I know everybody knows about the Alumni Association in
Yeah.
terms of, like, they know that it exists, but maybe not
Mhm.
doesn't know a whole lot in terms of what is involved, how they can get involved, things like that. So really looking forward to getting to that today. But before we kind of get into that, so I did say that you're the new president of the Alumni Association. So if you wouldn't mind, just kind of give our followers a little bit of background in terms of where you came from, where you're from, things like that.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I am new to this role, and the official title is Associate Vice Chancellor for Alumni Engagement and Annual Giving and the Executive Director of the NC State Alumni Association. So I've been a
Okay.
part of the Wolfpack since August of last year. So not quite 8 months, but I've seen a football and a basketball season. So
There we go.
I feel like I'm almost coming full circle. Professionally, I have been in this space of higher education advancement for my entire career. I actually fell into this as a student for my alma mater and really learned about ways that students, alumni, faculty, staff, everyone can really support an institution through the advancement work. I'm originally from Florida, Miami, Florida, born and raised. So there's a
Hmm.
little bit of a tear for the team representing in the tournament not too long ago. And
Hmm.
so, as well as a lot of tears for our team, but originally from
Yeah.
Florida. And I've had experience in several different institutions, large, small, public schools, private institutions, HBCUs. And so, what brought me to NC State, not only the fact that I really am excited about joining and being a part of the Wolfpack, but really this opportunity to think and do the extraordinary and
Yeah.
to be a part of a community that really supports each other, supports the work of the university, supports the community. And so that's really been my experience since joining NC State.
Okay. And what would you say has been your biggest lesson so far, or things that have really stood out to you during your first, just like you said, 8 months or so here at NC State?
Gosh, I've learned so many different lessons. It's
Yeah.
hard to really pick, one, but I will say the part that I did not expect was really the campus community, the leadership from Chancellor Woodson to the senior cabinet members, Vice Chancellor Brian Sisko, our athletic director, Boo Corrigan, and you mentioned a couple people from across campus and across the university. This is really a unique environment that is unlike any other experience at any other institution that I've had. And that, the strength of the pack really is the wolf. And so, really buying in and supporting all of the things that NC State represents, what our student athletes represent, what our faculty do in the classroom. This is unlike anything I would not have expected. My welcoming and my experience so far on the team to be as great as it has been.
Great. Yeah, no, absolutely. I know that we had on, again, Tom Lavolsi, who's with Savage Wolves. And one of the things that he said, that, somebody asked him, what do you think NC State's biggest strength is? And his answer was the fan base, about
Yeah.
how strong knit everybody is together, and how,
Mhm.
just how, again, it really is kind of an all, think and do all together, strength of the
Yeah.
pack mentality, 100%. So could not agree with you more there.
Yeah.
And then just to kind of start to dive in a little bit about the Alumni Association. If I were to say to you, an alumni association, what would you define an alumni association to be? Like, what's your kind of overall view of what an alumni association should be?
So the Alumni Association is really the connection for all NC State alumni and friends to the
Hmm.
university. It really is that lifelong connection, keeping you updated on not only what's happening in the institution and around the institution and with the students, but also as a sounding board for the university here, what's going on beyond with our alums, with our parents. And so this is the organization that really bolsters that relationship. We nurture that relationship. And we're doing all that we can to support all of the alums and friends of the institution in the ways that are meaningful to them. So that is really
Hmm.
our top charge and our mission to make sure that we're doing the best of building that connection in any way possible.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and obviously too, I know that when you and I had spoken the first time around, that we were kind of joking about how myself, probably all other in-state alumni, are very used to getting phone calls from NC State,
Hmm.
just to check in, kind of get some background, make sure that they have the right home address and phone number and what you're doing still and things like that.
Yes.
But in terms of obviously there is a donation standpoint to it, and so how does the donation standpoint work from your end? Because I know it's a little bit confusing to me in that, like, I'll get calls because I'm a chemical engineering grad. I'll get
Hmm.
calls from the engineering departments asking for donations, but then you still got the Wolfpack Club, Pack of Wolves, etc., like that. So what is kind of the niche area, the donation wise, from the Alumni Association perspective?
So I'm so glad you asked that question because
Hmm.
at the NC State Alumni Association, we're actually in the middle of a transition. And the
Great,
good news is that we're expanding the ways that we want to support NC State alumni and friends across the globe, honestly, across the
great.
globe. And
Hmm.
so what we're transitioning from is assessing membership dues. So beginning July 1 of 2023, we will no longer charge the membership dues to be a member of the Alumni Association and really get to the core of that relationship that I spoke about earlier. By nature of being a student and experiencing NC State from that side, or being a faculty member and associated NC State from that, we want everyone to see themselves in this lifelong relationship with the university. And so part of that was the decision to move away from any financial commitments that would restrict or be an obstacle to continuing that relationship. So very soon we'll be making that transition. And honestly, one of the benefits of this is to your question, making sure that alums and friends of NC State know that when you give to your college, and you mentioned College of Engineering, this is what the funds do and the impact that it has. When you give to the
Hmm.
Wolfpack Club, this is what those funds do and how they support our student athletes and the coaching and just everything under the athletics umbrella. When you give to
Hmm.
certain aspects, there is a clear understanding of how the funds are being used, why the funds are needed, and the results
Hmm.
from your contribution. And so, from an alumni association standpoint, we want to be supporters of that work. We want alums to feel that yes, your financial gifts to the institution are important and they matter, but just as much as your time and how you
Hmm.
give your time back to the institution, that matters. How you give
Yep.
your talents and how you share with students or other alums professional tips and best practices, or just connecting alums professionally, that matters. And so we see philanthropy in the broadest sense of the word. People relate to time, talent, treasure, testimony, trust. And so from the Alumni Association perspective, we want to do all of that. And so the ways that we can promote each of those areas with NC State alums, that's really where we want to focus. And that way there isn't the gray area of, I just got a call from a student to support this. And then the same day you get a letter in the mail who's asking you for this. Being a little
Yeah.
bit more coordinated in that effort is really our goal.
Okay. Before we continue, I want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Jessup Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out. Okay. So if I were to, like let's say to put you in front of an in-state alum, or for those listening right now who are definitely obviously getting hearing about Pack of Wolves, hearing about Wolfpack Club, things like that. Um, what would you say your expectation would be in terms of that? If I were to give, like, let's say $100, whatever, to Alumni Association, what would that money go towards? Because I mean, like I love the kind of the pitch that you're saying about how it really is. It's
With the
not
connection.
pushed. Yeah, exactly. It's about the connection. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
about the duty to give back a percent or something like that. It's about, listen, if you want to help with this, this is what this money will go towards. And I love that. So I mean, what would you kind of say to those fans of saying, if I give you this money, what is it going to go to?
Yeah, so of course, there's so many areas across the university that alums and friends can support. But to the Alumni
Hmm.
Association, we do have several funds that are under our purview. One of those
Hmm.
funds is the Alumni Impact Fund. And so
Okay.
your, gifts to the Alumni Impact Fund really invest back in the Alumni Association, whether it's through the student programming that our Alumni Association student ambassadors, they
Hmm.
are the student arm of supporting all things across campus to connect students with alums. It can support
Hmm.
faculty awards. We do honor and recognize faculty that are doing not only
Okay.
great work in the classroom, but also in their research, in their field. And so we do support faculty awards. Even
Hmm.
in the networks and the connections that we have several
Okay.
affinity groups that we hope will grow over the next few years. We have regional networks all across the country that are eager to do things to support alums in their local area. And so the funds support those opportunities and those engagement experiences as well. So that's just
Okay.
one fund. Under our umbrella, we also have the Caldwell Fellows Program, which is a scholarship program for students that really teaches them about servant leadership. And so if you support the Caldwell Fellows Program, that supports a student's ability to graduate and matriculate through NC State through that program. We also have a number of scholarships across our affinity networks that alums do support. Most recently, we celebrated with the Latin Alumni Network. They just endowed their scholarship. And so that's another
Great.
opportunity. So, from my perspective, I rather, if an alum asks, where would my funds make the most impact, everywhere would be my answer. But then my next question is, what matters and where would you like to see your gift make a difference? And let's make that happen. And
Okay.
so that to me is where it's not about what we need, because there's needs everywhere across the institution,
100%.
but it's more of what would be the most appealing for alums to invest their time, talent, treasure, all of those things for the university and for the Alumni
Hmm.
Association.
100%. And it does it kind of go to the level of saying, for these funds, how we have, like, let's say, a goal of this
Mhm.
much money invested, and here's where we're at. It that would Do us as alumni have kind of even that visibility into that extent even?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure if we've
Hmm.
done a good job of saying this is what we've done. We celebrated Day
Sure.
of Giving not too long ago, which was a
Hmm.
really remarkable experience to watch the
Huge.
entire campus community come together and celebrate philanthropy at NC State. And so we certainly had goals and challenges and matching grants that gave that perspective of we're this many dollars away. We also do crowdfunding opportunities for student projects and faculty projects across campus that have goals. Overall, we certainly will do a better job of being transparent in that way. To share, hey, for this year, our goal is this amount for this fundraising initiative, and here's what the funds do, and stay in regular contact with not only donors but those who've raised their hand and say, I'm interested in this. Please tell me more and keep me posted. It's
Yeah.
it's one of those things. They say the rule of thumb in fundraising is, the first thing, the only way you can fundraise is ask. And so
Yeah.
we have to do a better job of asking, but also making the connection to why, but making it a good experience so that you tell others. Because
Hmm.
honestly, I think the best way that we communicate the need, not only of the Alumni Association or at the various colleges, is really by firsthand experience from alums telling their classmates, their friends that, I support this. This is why, and here's why you should too. Kind of a each
Yeah.
one reach one kind of method.
Yeah. And my last kind of question for this first part here, and we can kind of pick up kind of long-term goals for the Alumni Association second part. But is there, because I know when I talked to Ben Broussard, Wolfpack Club, how he was saying, like, listen, however much you can give me, I'll be more than happy to accept it and have you a part of the Wolfpack Club. Like like there really is not a minimum. There is kind of a
Right.
minimum, but then I mean, if you can give me $20, I'm going to take it all day. Like, I'm be very appreciative for it. So, I mean, for your end, I mean, do you kind of, is it kind of the same response as well? Is there a minimum to join the Alumni Association?
It's the same idea. And so soon there
Okay.
won't be a minimum. It's going to be an
Exactly.
automatic opt in opportunity very soon for the Alumni Association. But I would say for us, as well as across the board, the power of numbers is really what matters. And so whether it's 5, 10, 15, $20 or $20,000, $20 million, the idea is the power of numbers, and that yes, every gift really does make a difference. Every gift matters. There is impact in that gift. And the other part of that too, and I'm sure Ben would echo this, is you never know what that gift would open up a future door for future giving. And so sometimes I do hear, especially with our recent grads, the idea that I don't have a lot to give, so I'm not going to give. And if everyone had that idea or that thought, we wouldn't be anywhere. We wouldn't be as great of an institution as we are now. And so it's kind of
Mhm.
start where you are, what matters, and know that even in that the act alone, you never know the ripples that it would generate from that gift, whether it is that $5, $10 or the 50, 20, $30 million. They all
Mhm.
really do make a difference. And it's the power of the community coming together. That's why I am definitely a fan of our day of giving, because there are over 16,000 gifts were given in a day. That's a
That's
lot
crazy.
of people supporting. And I think that number alone, will help us do monumental things in the year ahead. So it,
Yep.
it really does, every gift does matter. I would echo Ben 100%.
I love it. Yeah, and I definitely want to talk about a little bit more about the Day of Giving, which was a huge, huge day, record breaking for sure. And then also do kind of long term vision, like I had even said about the Alumni Association as well. But
Mhm.
we're going to pause right there, and for just if you wouldn't mind, Reshunda, what is the best way for our followers and our listeners here to check out the Alumni Association, get involved, get more information about it?
Yeah, so you can visit our website, alumni.ncsu.edu. You can follow us. We're on all social media channels, NC State Alumni on Twitter. There is a LinkedIn page and a group. So just Google, search us. We're here. We're at the Park Alumni Center and Centennial Campus. Love to have alums stop by. It's so great to meet them and hear about their NC State experiences. So number of
Great.
ways we are searchable across campus and across all the platforms.
Great. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And we will pick this up back here in part two. So make sure to join us right back here to make sure you don't miss out whenever we release that episode. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified on all your devices when any NC State content goes live, but specifically part two of this episode. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button and give us a follow. Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter and Instagram. But thank you so much, and we'll see you for part two. Go Pack, y'all.
Okay.